The man knew 2 days in advance that a terrible locust plague was about to strike the village. But he didn't tell anyone this truth and quietly watched as the locusts ravaged the entire village's crops. As soon as all the crops were destroyed, the locusts entered the village and began biting the people, turning a once vibrant village into a heap of ruins. Immediately after this devastation, a 100-year drought descended, and for 3 years, not a single drop of rain fell, leaving the people starving, and someone or the other died of hunger every day. Seeing the village completely devastated, the village headman led the villagers in praying to the shaman deity for rain. This time, the man who had remained silent for years finally appeared, donned the shaman robes, and began praying for rain for the village. As he danced, clouds gathered in the sky, lightning flashed, and finally heavy rain began to fall, filling the villagers with joy. The headman vowed that for 100 years, the villagers would offer him rice from 100 households on the first of every month. Under his protection, the village revived, and the weather remained favorable for the next 30 years. Today was the day when the man was about to regain his power to protect the village. Just then, the new female headman arrived with some villagers, bringing rice from 100 households. But the rice was not only less but also rotten and infested with insects. She claimed that she was the new headman, and while people might believe her, she did not believe in anything like a shaman, spiritual power. Hearing the altercation, the other villagers arrived and declared that the man was the village's protector. Since his arrival, no disaster had struck the village. However, the woman denied it, saying that all this was due to the scientific farming methods of the village's only college student, and that the man was merely using the ritual as an excuse to profit from it. The college student took out a disaster warning device and demonstrated that if a disaster were to occur, it would glow red, otherwise green. Seeing the device glow green, the villagers assumed there was no danger. But the man knew that the next day would bring the most terrifying disaster in history, a human devouring force. The man warned the woman, but she laughed him off as a liar and took all the villagers with her. However, some who had previously escaped his power believed in him and pleaded with him to stop the disaster. He gave them a list of sacrificial materials and ordered them to prepare. He didn't tell them that this was a punishment from the mountain god, and that stopping it would shorten his lifespan by 20 years. But he considered it his duty. The next day, the man donned shaman robes again, went to the altar by the river, and began to create a protective circle. But suddenly, the woman arrived and kicked the altar down. The protective circle breaks, and he vomits blood. He explains that this is not a normal disaster, but a punishment from the mountain god. But the woman breaks his things and says he's just being deceptive. The villagers protest, but she orders him to be captured. Some villagers apologize, as the village is now heading toward destruction. Then suddenly the sky darkens. Terrifying sounds are heard, and the locusts truly arrive. People shout that the man was telling the truth, but it's too late. The locusts devour everything, and the village is completely destroyed. The villagers, overcome with remorse, say that they insulted him, and now it's impossible to stop the village's destruction.